Welcome to The Edge Academy, an underground research channel that will break and expose the truth behind all the mainstream media outlets, from UFO cover-ups that have existed over the past 70 years and exposing the true nature of their agenda, from the Antarctic mysteries, the North Pole, Garden of Eden to the edge of the Earth. Sign up today, subscribe, and find out things you never knew even existed.
Administration is under siege. Hey everybody, I'm Christopher Green. You're watching AMTV, Alternative Media Television. I have breaking news. This is a breaking report. I'm starting to get information into AMTV that France, along with the UK, have impending airstrikes scheduled in Syria. This will compound the already intended airstrikes that have occurred courtesy of Israel within the last 24 to 48 hours. This is very, very serious and a very, very dire situation for this part of the world. Again, if you're just tuning in, breaking news, we have reports that the United Kingdom and France is teeing up a very aggressive airstrike off the coast of Syria as we speak right now. It is April 10th, 2018, about 4:10 Arizona time. Adjust your clocks anywhere you are tuning in around the world. Now, of course, we went over all of this earlier this morning. Donald Trump canceled a major trip just recently. Why? I can only guess it's to watch the fireworks. Now, I have Chad Booksam also online with us. I'm going to bring him on in a moment. Syria missile strike within hours, according to Eastern Mediterranean Intelligence. U.S. intelligence. Eastern Mediterranean on alert for possible launch. British and French forces could launch an imminent missile strike within a matter of hours. Now, as this information is being leaked to us, suggesting a matter of hours, this more than likely tells us this is happening right now. Okay, there's always a time delay and a lag on this information as it's being leaked out to the press, leaked out to independent journalists, the alternative media, those of you tuning in. It is more than likely happening and occurring right now. Now, obviously, this comes with the green light of the United States, Donald Trump having canceled his trip, in a massive distractionary campaign in the choreographed Mark Zuckerberg congressional testimony, of which he's sitting on a booster seat right now in this pretend display that your politicians care about the fact that they've been data mining all of us for years. This is a distraction. It should not be paid attention to at all. A wider war is opening up courtesy of the dark state here in the United States and among our allies. Coalition forces could fire air-to-ground or cruise missiles in the wake of a horrifying, alleged, and we broke all of this down, the real truth behind it earlier, what they're calling a horrifying chemical attack, although there would be no logic behind it at all, for Assad to commit such an atrocity during and while he is winning the war in this part of the world. At the same time, just a couple of days ago, Donald Trump committed to withdrawing troops from this country. We have seen this time and time again, whether or not it is the removal of Libyan leader Muammar Gaddafi in Libya, it is the toppling of the rightful sovereign government of Ukraine with Viktor Yanukovych, whether or not this is Saddam Hussein in Iraq, and now with Assad as the target of United States intelligence. Now, my suspicion is that Assad has already been relocated probably 48 hours ago off the coastline himself on one of his warships, which is often what these presidents do in the case of an imminent attack. Air Live said the alert, this is another source, was issued by Eurocontrol for possible launch occurring more than likely right now. According to reports, British forces are mobilizing at their bases in Cyprus and fighter jets taking off from Saint Dizier Air Base in France for possible strikes against Syria. Due to the possible launch of airstrikes into Syria with air-to-air, ground, and/or cruise missiles within the next 72 hours, likely to be occurring now, and the possibility of intermittent disruption of radio navigation equipment, due consideration needs to be taken when planning flight operations in this part of the world. The UK military, as well as their leadership, have issued very strong statements within the last 24 to 48 hours that they would strike, that they would respond to almost what appears to be a bad dream of mine, because this has happened all before and it was proven to be a total falsehood, a total lie, total fabrication by Pulitzer Prize winners, whether or not I discussed this earlier, that Seymour Hersh or independent investigators with the United Nations, people like Carla Del Ponte and others. Now we have the same storyline, the same continuation of the Barack Obama administration, but really the dark state that we had before. And an imminent striking force to compound the already devastated landscape, which has been hit by Israel just within the last couple of videos we've reported. Now, Chad, I brought you on here because this is a breaking report. I wanted to get any additional thoughts, commentary, what you think might really be going on here behind the scenes. Before I get your comments, it almost appears that the way that this has been structured is for U.S. allies to hit first, with Israel providing the first attack, the first bombing raid, followed by what appears to be now France and the UK attacking, which I believe to be happening right now, not within hours, but right now, literally as you're watching this broadcast. Share it with your friends and family. Get it out, like this video. This is the most dangerous thing I've ever seen since I've been in broadcasting over the last 10 years, as they open up the vein of total destruction, total catastrophe, total war. Not just against Syria, but America's primary enemies, which they are debating on Capitol Hill right now with Mr. Zuckerberg sitting on a booster seat. Russia, a billion Chinese, nuclear-armed Iran, which is warned within just the last day they'd be continuing, revamping, and amping up their nuclear capabilities as a result of these interventionist policies and what has become physical, legitimate war in this part of the world.
Yeah,
your thoughts?
It's almost like a perfect written script. We've seen it before. It's happening again. The meeting at the UN. See, they had this meeting at the UN, and we knew that they weren't going to go through the UN because we have Russia as a permanent member who would veto any kind of attempt to attack Syria. But what do we have occurring? They were having little backroom talks, Nikki Haley, as well as the UK and France. So what do we have here? We have the fact that Theresa May, Prime Minister of the UK, Donald Trump, and Emmanuel Macron, President of France, have already came out and stated that those responsible for the chemical attack on their own people, and who are they saying is responsible? Bashar al-Assad and Russia and Iran. See, it's not just Bashar al-Assad. What they're saying, what the Western allies are saying, is that Russia, Bashar al-Assad, and Iran are all responsible, not just Bashar al-Assad. And that is really key. Mr. Macron said that any strikes, and Mr. Macron, again, he's the leader of France, any strikes would target Syrian government chemical facilities. Now, what chemical facilities suddenly do they have there?
Yeah, I thought, and let's just step back here for a minute. Did not Donald Trump claim that all chemical weapons had been successfully removed from places like Ghouta and other parts of Syria as a result of the last lie in fabrication, of which Western powers and allies blamed the atrocity on Assad, when factually it turned out to be the counter opposite, the complete opposite. It was actually United States armed rebels on the ground, funded by U.S. intelligence, likely responsible for the deadly attack.
Yes, and what are they saying? They're saying that dozens were killed in eastern Ghouta, in the eastern Ghouta region, where you're saying the chemical weapons are already removed. The UN was there. The UN police was there. declaring that there's no more chemical weapons left. Now you have France, and remember how close France is to Lebanon and to this region. I mean, we remember that France was occupying Lebanon, which is just right next to Syria, for a very long time. So it would make sense that the U.S. is using France and Britain to go ahead and attack the Bashar al-Assad government, in my opinion. But yes, President Trump canceled a planned trip to Latin America to focus on this issue, and he has pledged a forceful response.
Yeah, and let's put this into perspective for a moment. Where is the evidence? So you're telling me the United States, Israel, her allies, France, the United Kingdom, are launching a full-scale war in this part of the world as a result of just their opinions of what have happened in this part. There has been no third-party verification, no independent body. There has been complete conflict on the truth of what's happened in Syria in the last 24 hours. Other mainstream media outlets denying that Assad is responsible for it. Where's the proof? Where's the evidence? Where are the third-party investigators? There are none. We are just going word for word on the suggested opinions of our leadership that this is the case, while they grill another guy in the name of Mark Zuckerberg in Washington, D.C. today on similar matters of fake news. How is what they're telling us not fake news?
There is no evidence. There is no evidence, and that's the great thing for them, that they don't need to provide evidence to attack. This is the greatest thing for them. You have the UN Security Council rejected a draft U.S. resolution because Russia vetoed the move and China abstained. See, this is a huge thing. So you have them, they're going to unilaterally attack the Bashar al-Assad government. And the organization, and speaking of evidence, the Organization for the Prohibition of Chemical Weapons said earlier that the inspectors are going to travel to the Homs province, to this town, to investigate. It's going to take a long time, but by the time they find out that there is no evidence for it, it's going to be too late, Chris.
Yeah, well, it sounds like they're going to get rid of the evidence. It sounds like, I've got to give the BBC a little credit because I'm reading a report here that says UK Prime Minister has agreed with their U.S. and French counterparts that the international community must respond to an alleged chemical attack, meaning they don't even know if it's occurred, but they've already agreed. They've already agreed to strike. It sounds like, if anything, they want to get rid of any evidence of who may in fact be really responsible for this chemical warfare, which, again, we got to look at signaling. We got to look at what the Trump administration is doing here. This is a guy who told us repeatedly, for those of you tuning in, during the election campaign and election cycle, he would not warn his enemies before he struck. He would not tell ISIS before he bombed them. He would not tell Assad before he launched warfare of his own and started dropping bombs and raining hellfire missiles on his country. He would just act. Yet for some funny reason, what we're getting is a lot of talk. We're getting a lot of signaling. Trump came out within the last 48 hours, said that there would be a major announcement soon, which I think we're going to get within hours, in my humble opinion, from the President of the United States, who is sitting on the sidelines, watching the fireworks take place, who's already placed the phone calls. The orders have already been made worldwide, and I believe Syria is being struck once again right now as we deliver this live show.
Absolutely. Russian warplanes are harassing U.S. Navy destroyers armed with Tomahawk missiles that arrived off the Syrian coast earlier today. We already heard that Russia was jamming drones because we all know, Chris, you know for a fact that they do reconnaissance first. So you had U.S. drones flying over the Syrian region, finding areas to target. Now they're going to target not necessarily chemical facilities. They're using that as an excuse to target government structures, to reduce the Bashar al-Assad government to pieces, to demolish any what they did was basically with the Bashar al-Assad government, they've been growing. They've actually secured a lot of the areas. So now what's going to happen is we're going to bomb these areas to ensure that the Bashar al-Assad government isn't going to succeed and have the Syrian Democratic Forces kind of push in further. So we're going to see numerous amounts of events. So you have this reconnaissance mission going on, Russia jamming drones. Then we're going to start bombing basically government structures. And after that, the people on the ground that we train, you know, the rebels, right, that we train, they are going to come in right after to basically push back and sabotage the win that Bashar al-Assad
Now, there will be no way, in my view, to unseat Assad without a full-blown ground invasion, which is probably coming soon. Would you not agree with that? I'd be interested to hear
100%.
your opinion, because I don't see how this mission will be successful if this is the intent and the intention behind all of this and the international community to unseat Assad. They're going to have to put troops on the ground. Just like they put troops on the ground to unseat all of these other leaders, whether or not it was Iraq or Libya and, you know, all these other countries around the world. So that is probably what's not being talked about as well. Troops are already there, by the way, but we could have an official ground invasion announced very, very soon by Trump himself.
Yeah, and he was sitting with the military brass earlier, and basically the U.S. military planners have drawn up more than one option for possible military action against Syria, including a strike similar to last year, or just like you said, including ground forces on the ground. So the military brass was there. They prevented Trump with the options. We don't know what options Trump has even struck. Obviously, it's always going to lead with Tomahawk missiles because it inflicted massive damage against the Syrian Air Force last time. But now, given the fact this is the second go around, are they just going to attack the Syrian Air Force, or just like you said, Chris, are they going to put boots on the ground?
What makes me more certain too of the imminent nature of what we're discussing today is how there really is a blackout among the mainstream media at this current moment. The major headlines are Stormy Daniels, the porn star, Mark Zuckerberg, Capitol Hill being grilled, not what's occurring now. Now, the counterpoint to that is if you go look at Russian media, for example, you'll see it's blowing up in social media, among the mainstream media of other countries, foreign countries. I've got a report here I'm looking at. U.S. reportedly has already sent, this has already occurred, second missile destroyer to Syrian coast as tensions shoot up. There are the amount of firepower that is already there is absolutely ridiculous, Chad. I mean, this is everything that we've been discussing for 10 years. This is like a cork popping off of the champagne bottle.
Absolutely. People have to understand, because, look, the Pentagon is coming to Donald Trump, not like it was even in the beginning. They are doubling the amount of military force that should be used, given the fact that this attack, what they're reporting is this attack injured hundreds more, killed more. And what do we see? We see children being splattered across the screen. And we see, look, officials, they're going to present Donald Trump with a much bigger incursion option, We see this. This is a worse nightmare scenario.
Yeah,
honestly.
and what people need to understand, Americans will say, why should I care, Christopher? Why should I care? This is an isolated country. I don't care about Syria. This is like Iraq. This is like Afghanistan. No, it is far, far different. This is not a country that the United States is engaging in isolation. You are engaging with willful firepower of this nation, the nation of Syria, the sovereign rightful leadership of Assad. You are engaging major global superpowers. You are engaging Russia, you are engaging China, you are engaging Iran, you are engaging North Korea. This is what geopolitical world war looks like. Okay, and Americans need to wake up. There will be counteraction, there will be retaliation. Vladimir Putin has already stated this. This is what we're looking at. So this needs to be taken very, very seriously by the American population, populations in France, populations in the United Kingdom, because God forbid this comes to your shore. This is not an event in isolation. I'm reading here, there's another headline, Russian drafted UN Security Council resolution backing a probe, trying to get some kind of independent investigation into the Syria chemical attack fails. Again, there will be no third-party independent investigation. We are just going on hearsay and words and opinions of international leadership that cannot be trusted. These are the same people, by the way, that said that there were WMDs in Iraq when that turned out to be a falsehood, turned out to be a lie. Now telling you, the American people and those of you tuning in around the world, that a chemical attack occurred as a result of the actions of Assad, which, by the way, has no logic with it at all because Assad's been winning the war. He'd have no reason to attack his own people, to provoke an engagement, and so that he would have to run and bail onto a warship fearing for his life.
No,
there is no even logical reason behind it. Go ahead, Chad.
And absolutely. And look, last strike, what was it more of a for show? Was it more of a attack to basically say that, hey, this is a new and you know how it is, Chris, when they come out, when a new president gets into office, people get tested. When a new president gets to office, the deep state, the U.S. military industrial complex, they tell you, listen, you have to act, you have to show strength. Mm-hmm. So it was a limited option. It was a limited attack. Only about 50 Tomahawk missiles hit. Now you have this happening again. So it's not about, this is not about for show. This is not going to be another little fashion show. To me, what I'm saying, given the fact that the Pentagon has given him multiple options that he can choose for more than just one, that it could be Tomahawk missiles and boots on the ground. And with the situation that Donald Trump is in, he always likes to solve problems. This is how he is. His personality is a problem solver, a winner. I don't think he's going to do something to just touch the surface. Honestly, from what I'm seeing,
once they're going to have to go all in. This is what's so scary about this, is that when Trump decides the dark state, let's tell it how it is. When the dark state makes the decision, they're going to go all in. Okay, this is not a half-ass type kind of thing. We're just going to drop a couple. No, this is a full-scale global war. This is what we're looking at. We also have reports coming into AMTV, alternative media television. There's an international warning right now. European Air Traffic Control is issuing a worldwide alert over these airstrikes. I believe to be occurring right now. Again, when you're starting to be issued these alerts, it's already happening. Look at what happened in Hawaii not too long ago when the citizens of that U.S. state hanging out on an island when normally they're drinking Mai Tais and going to go out surfing for an afternoon siesta or whatever it is, were warned of an imminent intercontinental ballistic missile about to hit its shores, which, by the way, was not some fat finger accident. All of this has been building up to now. We've got...
This looks...
Go ahead.
Sorry.
Go ahead.
No, but just from what you're saying, it reminds me of Libya. Everything that we're seeing now, how, the meeting behind closed doors, how our allies are getting involved. Because did our allies get involved when we first struck Syria to begin with? No, it was just a U.S. military response. This is just like Libya. You have the foreign minister, Boris Johnson of the UK, basically saying that this emergency meeting that happened at the UN was an important next step in determining the international response, and that a full range of options should be on the table. This is exactly the same thing that happened before NATO, the international response to Libya.
Yeah, this is an emergency alert. Eurocontrol, an EU body responsible for handling air traffic control over the continent, has issued a rapid-fire alert notification worldwide to flight operators in the eastern Mediterranean as the United States moves massive warships that are already there to the region, troops on the ground ready to be deployed, warning them to be ready for NATO rockets landing and being launched all over Syria. I mean, that is just incredible.
Now, they're saying that this is about humanity, right? We're talking about humanity, and we can't allow this to happen. So what are they saying? That the chemical attacks. So right now, they're defending humanity by launching missiles against the Bashar al-Assad government, by going to war. How much have the Syrian people have already suffered? How much sacrifice has already been put on the lap of Bashar al-Assad's government, that if they go forward with this attack, I don't see it as okay, here's a little slap on the wrist. And Chris, I know you feel it too. You probably sense the same thing occurring. And now we have a nuclear-powered Russia, nuclear-powered Russia, who has put in already so much effort, who has already put in so many resources to protect Bashar al-Assad, That is my main concern. What the hell is Russia going to do? Is Russia going to sit idly by as France, Britain, the United States, and Israel demolishes everything that they have worked for the last few years?
Yeah, President Xi, his comments today on the easing up and negotiation of the tariffs, honestly, is just a ploy. That's just another chess move as really things are heating up. You know, here I've got in front of me another report. U.S. deploying Truman aircraft carriers, already been deployed, strike group, to Middle East, Europe. This is according to our own Navy. So they're just playing the cards here. Oh, yeah, North Korea is going to denuclearize. It's going to be great. Oh, yeah, we're not really going to be at a trade war with China. Everything's fine. Don't worry about. Oh, hey, Stormy Daniels over here. Look, she's a porn star. She slept with Donald. Oh, look over here. It's like a freaking squirrel. Look at the nut. Look at the nut. Huh? Right? It's a total distraction campaign. The evidence of that is the proof that nobody's talking about it. There's a total blackout in American media while this whole area is lit up like a freaking Christmas tree.
And you have Israel, who never announces anything. You have Israel, and we forget about this, where Israel is dealing with what's happening in Gaza, which in a way is connected to Syria and Iran, because a lot of weapons go through Syria to get to Gaza, or goes to Hezbollah and Lebanon. So what is going to occur? This is like basically domino effect. Effect. Hezbollah, people forget about Hezbollah. This is a multiple state war. So you have Libya, Iran, Syria. Now we have these big powers behind everybody else. And what are they going to do? So if the UK and France and the United States starts bombing Syria, what are we going to see Lebanon do? Hezbollah in Lebanon, which is basically kind of a branch of the Revolutionary Guards in Iran. Is Israel going to strike? And then you're going to have a war again, another war, which is going to be like the third or fourth war between Hezbollah and Lebanon and Israel. People have to understand how quickly things are going to move, how quickly the domino effect is going to move, because it's all so sensitive. It is so sensitive, this balance, that just one Tomahawk missile, I think, honestly, you can erupt the whole thing in the Middle East, and you're going to see it burn.
Yeah, what I see is I see Trump backed into a corner.
Yeah.
He better give the dark state what they want. And we all know they want a war. I mean, it has not even been a day since John Bolton, high-level security advisor, has held his position. And we are already talking World War III. This is absolutely incredible. Syria airspace has been cleared. If you're not already aware for the next 48 hours, I believe there's already been alerts put out if you're just tuning in. UK, France, airstrikes. They've suggested within hours. I believe this is actually occurring right now as we speak, as we deliver this transmission, followed by a major announcement from Donald Trump, who has warned just within recent days there would be a major, major response. So here we have a president and an entire administration under siege, completely under attack, where the client privilege, attorney privilege relationship is dead. We have literally Trump's attorney being seized at his home, at his hotel room, at his private residences. They are doing everything in their power to take this administration down. So the question is, your move, Trump. Your move, or is it your move? What is going to happen next?
It is quite unbelievable how you see that as the pressure for world war increases, the pressure surrounding Donald Trump increases. This is like quite remarkable how the deep state doesn't even allow Donald Trump to think. They're cornering him, they're pressuring him as that you have no choice. You need to go forward with these deep state policies, or we're going to close in on you.
Mm-hmm.
Rob Mueller closing in on his personal lawyer. Rob Mueller closing in on his family. Rob Mueller doing everything he can to say, listen, if you don't do the job that we want you to do, we'll get somebody else to do it through impeachment, through this insurance policy that has put on Donald Trump's head since the beginning. Look, I feel like, okay, Donald Trump, he has been dealing with a lot. I mean, honestly, like, how can you even operate as a president of the United States when you're dealing with all these issues, when you have a whole mainstream media that hates you and a big radical left that hates you, and at the same time you have a deep state that is threatening you through investigation, and now we're having war abroad.
Mm-hmm.
The choice is Donald Trump's, but the choice is also his presidency, his future. Does he go forward with this policy? Does he go forward with this attack? Or does he fight back against it and basically be impeached or removed from office? This is like something very dangerous.
Yeah. All of which is on the table, by the way. All of those options are on the table. Alex, I know as you're commandeering the ship up there, are you seeing, let's go to comments actually. And are any thoughts hovering in your mind? I'm just curious, so I always like to ask you as you're covering this real time with us. Maybe the audience has a question, a comment. If you guys like to put that out there, myself or Chad will try to address it. I'm just letting you guys know. I mean, honestly, this is the most dangerous thing I've seen in a decade of doing this. Okay, this is very, very real, and we all need to think about the repercussions potentially on our own soil here in the United States, Europe, wherever you're tuning in around the world as a result of this. What else are they going to do? This has been building up for a decade. How are they going to reset the debt bomb? How do you think they're going to do that? With a paradigm shift.
Right.
Towards something else. Towards war. Towards famine. Towards depopulation. You know, this is a wake-up call for the world. Your comments are streaming very, very quick. Let me know if you see something interesting there, Alex, and we'll try to place it. And thank you all for tuning in. Please share this. Like this video. Get it out everywhere. The mainstream media is not going to report on this. You will be hearing in the next few hours, in my humble opinion, confirmation of these strikes, courtesy, building upon what has already happened as a result of Israeli airstrikes, now followed by the UK, followed by France, all in coordination with the United States, followed by another major announcement by Donald Trump himself.
The U.S. military-industrial complex will not allow the win for Russia. They will not allow Bashar al-Assad's government to survive. We have known this since the Arab Spring, the supposed Arab Spring in the Middle East, which needs to be understood across the board, in my opinion.
Yeah. Incredible. God help us. We're going to keep this transmission short. Please get it out. We will update you with any new developments as they come in. I want to thank all of our sources for leaking this information to us. Again, if you're not already aware, the United Kingdom, France, airstrikes within hours. I believe this all to be occurring right now as we speak. Share this with your friends and family. Get this transmission out to the viewing public while we still can. Followed by a major announcement to be expected from your president, Donald J. Trump, who has canceled his recent trip overseas, or where was he? South America, I think that's where he was headed, to watch the fireworks occur in this part of the world. Any last closing statements, Chad? I know we'll be reporting a lot more on demand. Click the link below and support us. It's free. Please do that. Any other closing statements, comments?
I mean, it's a really dark situation by the dark state. You know, Chris, you've been discussing this for a long time, and there's much more details to it, obviously, and a lot of the videos, they're on demand. So if you guys are surprised by the situation that we're into today, you need to go on demand and see how this all connected. For the last few years, we've been discussing this, and join the underground and the Underground Railroad, because at the end of the day, look, we need to know, we need to have knowledge, and we need to be able to fight back, but we need to know what happened in the past, because right now past is precedent in our current situation.
Yeah, absolutely. God bless everybody. Thank you for tuning in. Syria is under attack right now. Syria is under siege. The Trump administration is under siege.